a shame to lose that. So John, before he passed, he created 2 other versions of it. One, Goshin 2, he created at a convention, and that planting went to the collection in GSBF collection in Oakland. And then the 3rd planting he did at his home. And Jack Sustic, who's with us, the former curator of the National Bonsai and Penjing Museum, who for many years took care of the original Goshin, turns out he was also involved in the construction of the other Goshin. So he is like the perfect person to come here and be able to get this faithfully and accurately redone. And so that's the challenge here, is we're replicating something that is already existing. And so again, we've got the perfect person. Turns out too, Doug McGowan in the flowered shirt back there, he was also part of the original crew, and you'll see some photographs up there. The color photographs are from Doug, and those are pictures he took during the building of this. The photocopies are photos of the trees when it was at the Huntington, and those show kind of the deterioration of that grove. A lot of it was due to poor soils. So in 2015, we took the planting apart. We planted the trunks in individual containers. We started developing some replacements, and all with the goal of getting them ready to put them back together. And so again, you're going to be a witness to this today. So Mel Ikeda is going to assist, and also Mel, okay, forgot his last name. Carrillo, that's right. These are going to be the assistants. I'll be the final assistant. I'll be everybody's assistant, so I'll try and run around when I can. But what I'll do is at this stage, I'll turn it over to Jack and let him share a little bit of the story of Goshin.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's definitely my honor to be here. And it's hard to believe that it was 19 years and 1 month to the week, I think, that I had the great fortune of coming here to California and spending a week with John. It took about, 3.5 days, I guess, to create Goshin 3. And it was an experience of a lifetime. And I'm curious of how many of you have gotten into bonsai since 2004? Quite a number of you. So we really didn't have a chance to know John. John died in 2004. It's nice to see that even after 15 years after he passed, that he can still fill a room. And that really speaks of John's impact on bonsai in North America, especially here in Southern California. So what we're going to do, and we'll talk back and forth about this, and I'd like to share some stories about John. I'd like, if any of you have a story about John that you can repeat here in this environment, then please do so. If you have any questions as we're doing this process, please feel free to shout the questions out. I wanted to show you the container. Let me put this up. We've layered bamboo to the bottom of it so that we can attach more tie-down wires. So when we put the trees in here, we'll be able to tie them all down securely to the container. Yeah, I'll show you the bottom.
Yeah, all loose wires done.
Flip it over.
No, not over. That's good.
Well, those wires will tighten up when we tighten it down. Okay, let's set it over here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of loosely arrange the trees on this table, just to see how they go together, because we have more than 11. Just all there. We'll loosely arrange them here on the table, try to get them in order, number 1 tree, number 2 tree, all the way down to 11. We're going to put 11 trees in the forest. There's 11 trees in each one of the Goshins, and that represents John's grandchildren. So that number is very important. So I'm gonna set the mic down for a minute, we're gonna do some arranging. If any of you guys would like to say something, Doug, you like to talk?
Okay, Doug, you let us get away with that.
Which one should we start with?
See which one I have. All these trees that have a white tag on them are original, so the original planting. So we're gonna do our best, we're gonna use all of those. And I think that there's enough that that's all we'll need, is 11 of them, so we'll see. Maybe not, because I think some of you had died, right?
Yes.
Question? Are all three of the Goshins the same height?
No, there's some variation. There's some variation in,
Well, I mean, it's the tallest tree in a
not
group.
exactly, and, you know, I'm sure they're not, and I don't know what they are exactly, but they're not the same.
In
The
the
important thing, the important thing is, and this is what John told me when we created it, is that as long as the tree is taller or shorter than the width of the container, it can't be the same length as the width of the container. Looks like this guy.
The winner? You wanna mark it?
The original Goshin 2, the main tree, had an incredible Nabari. I mean, the main number 1 was just, it's almost like some of the individual Foemina you see in the show, just gorgeous Nabari.
The original is pretty nice.
I believe this is the tallest one though. I think this is the tallest one.
Okay.
Are these being placed back in the position that they were originally?
Ideally, however.
Ideally, right. Go ahead.
Sorry, Jeff.
Yep.
Because we've lost some trees, we've had to replace them. So for one possibility, the original number 2 tree might be the number 1 tree in this rearrangement. So again, the number 2 tree is probably not going to stay the number 2 because as they died, they kind of relative proportions changed. And our replacement trees too, we kind of built those based on trunk size. And so, yeah, there'll be some variation there.
When did you guys take apart the Goshin 3?
2015.
Did you want this one, Jeff?
Yes.
And is this part of the Huntington collection?
Yes, this was actually a Golden State Bonsai Federation tree as part of the Huntington here. So for those of you who may not be aware, there's 2 collections here. There's a Golden State Bonsai Federation collection and there's also the Huntington collection. It's a seamless, we treat them all the same, but in this case, this happens to be a GSBF tree.
Question? How long does it take to get this white branch effect?
Well, the creation of this gin or shari that we create is immediate. It takes a little time. You can treat the dead wood with lime sulfur. The main goal is to preserve it, to keep it from rotting. Because if you do nothing to it, eventually it's just all you'll have is this little lifeline fall over in the pot. So we treat it, but one of the results of treating it with lime sulfur is it bleaches it also.
So how long will it take to get it bleached?
It doesn't take long for it to start turning white.
Couple of days?
Within an hour.
Oh.
If you do it in the right conditions, high humidity and a lot of ambient moisture. And what happens is the lime sulfur, you soak the wood and you soak it thoroughly, and then when you apply the lime sulfur, as oxygen evaporates out of the wood, it binds to the sulfur and draws it out as a gas, and so the calcium is left. And if the right conditions, within an hour it's bone white.
Turn it around, get that branch going out.
This one?
Kind of in front of it.
Jack, I take it the front of the grove is at you.
Yeah, I'm looking at the front, so eventually when we get it into the container, I'll turn it around periodically so you can see it.
How do you determine what goes in front or?
I've been studying the Goshin 3 arrangement for several weeks now. It's almost imprinted in my brain.
Oh.
But generally, this forest is what we call an inside looking out forest. So the arrangements, the larger trees are toward the front and smaller trees are toward the back, so as if you're standing in the forest.
No? Yes. The other mill. There's one more down there with, right, it's got the lime sulfur right there, it's the one in front, that one, I think that would've been one of the next,
This one?
that one or the one with the top, so I think those two were probably the closest.
Do all the trees in the composition have the lightning strike on top?
Yes. This one will, if we use it, we'll create that. It's always important for John that every apex was gin, or has the lightning effect, and that you could see all of the apexes when it's in the container. So that we have the larger trees toward the front, smaller trees toward the back, you should be able to see all the trunks when they're in the container, and all the apexes. I think this is close. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get the camera. Take a picture of it.
Mel on the camera.
I have a camera, I always have
Dumb question, huh?
He's looking at a cheat sheet.
Thinking the same thing.
Shows exactly the area in a diagram with all the numbers. Connect the dots.
So Ted said the right thing, we're recreating, not creating it. So we're totally trying to recreate it. And I was interviewed and I said it's much like trying to preserve a fine work of art. We're just trying to preserve it rather than making any changes. We have to make some changes, of course, because some of the trees have died. But, all right. 4, 5, 1, 2, 3.
Which ones are the new one?
This is a new one. This is,
Yeah, this is a new one, the one in the back, that's a new one.
this one?
I think that might have been one still, I don't know where the tag
Doesn't have
is.
the white tag.
Yeah, I think that was an original one still.
So you notice I just turned this tree. It was like this, where this branch was coming in toward the arrangement. You want them to kind of go away from the arrangement, rather than growing into it. Much more natural. A branch that's, many of the branches that are going to grow in toward, they're going to run out of sunlight and they will die or be weak. Much better to have them going out, away from the arrangement. Okay, so let's see if we can set them in order.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put it in my car. That guy in here.
He's in a thing.
Check This a keeper, right?
Yep.
Okay, that's number one.
So I'm moving them down to make some room so we can.
Yeah.
Actually, let's
Just move them over.
Shove them all down to the hand. So we'll get the roots off, or the pots off, and remove some of the soil. We can set them right there for the time being. And then we'll move this pot back over to the.
And what we'll do is when we take them out,
Yeah.
Is that the only, we have another top?
Get this one first.
So, we're gonna remove all the trees from the containers and remove some of the soil.
That one's done.
That's enough.
That was easy. That's my kind of read. That is. Look at his drainage layer for big nuggets. See.
All right. And we have a chopstick.
We got a chopstick or root hook? How long have they been in that chopstick?
since 2015.
So when this was first created, they were all in nursery containers, but they had been in the nursery containers for some time. And they were a little larger than these. So, and actually, there were a few of them that John used an axe on to create some room so we could get some a little closer together than others. Yep. That's
Just one? This one's take care of this guy.
have to compliment Ted on taking such a good care of the trees and being so healthy.
Well, there's some volunteers out here, you know who you are. Thank you guys for all your help too.
So how long does it take to develop?
Well, you know, it was put together in 2000. You know, Ted has been working with them for several years now. Yeah. You get a chance, be sure to look at the pictures on the wall. And it shows the original plantings and what the trees looked like when they were originally done. They were just nursery stock, cut off at the height that John wanted them. And so foliage pads were nothing like this. So, you know, these guys, and growing in these smaller containers, their success rate is much greater today than they were in 2000.
But the reason that this composition failed was poor soil, you said, relatively. Is it the same soil combination of the third that John always used?
No, John used
This one's dried out.
kind of if you look in his book, he used like about an 8-part soil mix. I mean, in the original, there was oak leaf mold, there was sand, so the 3-part mixes, that's a much more contemporary approach. So,
Have the other two compositions had the soil renovated so that they're more up to date?
that's a good question. Jack, like on Goshin, what did you do with that soil? Is there more contemporary soil in it now?
It is. We kind of transitioned into Akadama. was the primary component. Macadamia pumice mix.
No scoria?
No, no.
So John used a lot of organic stuff when he originally did it,
Used,
whatever was
Yeah,
available.
I think so, yeah.
around the house.
I mean, if you come and look at some of Doug's pictures, you'll see that, I mean, it almost looks like potting soil. And so, yeah, that was kind of that
And there
organic.
wasn't much of it.
Yeah, you'll see some celebrity in the pictures here.
There she is. Oh, look at this root mouse. This is a little loose.
Be careful.
Yeah, this one's a delicate one, all right.
Very balanced.
Want to cut it off?
You make sure they do it right. You were there the first time.
Okay. Looking good. This one's also another one that's kind of loose.
So, these guys are hard at work. I'll tell you a little story about John. So John would come to DC every year, and he would work on the trees. He could work on any tree he wanted, right? So we'd walk through the collection, he'd say that one, and that one, and that one. And we'd bring them in. And then we'd have volunteers, of course. And we'd put the bonsai in a circle. And John would kind of sit in the middle with in a chair with a long bamboo stick. And he'd tell people, lower that branch or cut that branch. And he'd just keep going around in a circle. And I had an elderly volunteer, Jack Carden, rest his soul. John told him to cut this branch. And he had a concave cutters. And he was trying to cut that branch and he couldn't quite do it. He couldn't quite drip down on it. And so John put down that stick and he got up and he did like a wind up and he slapped him right in the backside, right? And Jack Carden, I think he got air on that. He click and he cut that branch right off. And John loved that. He laughed so hard, and those of you that knew John, that infectious laugh, I could tell the same joke and it wouldn't get a laugh, but he could tell a joke and then when he started laughing, it made you laugh. So, I'll never forget that. He got such a kick out of that.
Is that just plain water?
Yes, just water to keep the roots moist, keep them from drying out while they're sitting outside.
Getting there, guys.
Somebody pointed out the real coarse drainage layer. One of the reasons we use this is because there was hardly any root on these guys, and so they're just what we would either use the very bottom of the pot, or it would have just had so much soil volume. So we ended up just occupying space with this big Japanese pumice. It also made things a little lighter, but you can see the trees really liked it too.
So if there's anyone else that has a nice story that you'd like to tell in memory of John, please feel free. I'm sure Mel might have one.
Ted, you have done a beautiful job.
I know there's a lot of you that that never knew John, so it'd be fun to hear some stories so that you can get to know the man, what a wonderful person he was.
Nice. Good roots. This is a nice root system.
Put the turntable down.
We'll take this out. We'll take this soil out. Let's move this hunka burden.
Unfortunately, you're gonna have to look at the back for a few minutes. That's why I have some soil, right?
All the soils are the same. It's all the same. I didn't really bring a drainage layer. I thought overall it was pretty shallow, so.
We wanna get a nice bottom layer in here.
Is that the third mix?
Ken, what is
Yeah.
the mix?
Yeah.
You can speak to the mix.
This mix is the David and June Caladonna or Acadonna black scoria, and then what I do is add 1 part agricultural pumice. This soil, one of the things, the agricultural pumice is real tortured. When you work it in, the pumice will kind of rise to the top, so it ultimately is probably not quite a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. But the junipers just love this mix, so again, they'll do fine. We also, when we dress the moss, I use a muck butter. We use worm castings, and you'll see how when we dress it, how that works.
You ready for some trees? Number 1 is right here.
I've got some of these.
Number 1.
Yay.
Goes to the side. Well, I'd like to have that a little bit toward the front of us.
So is the front going to be facing you or facing us?
Facing me.
Okay.
And then I'll turn it.
Once in a while.
Yeah. Okay, just a little bit back, just to the back of the sun. Okay.
Jack, are you gonna mound the soil or just leave it flat, or what's your plan?
Leave it flat. Right now, yes. This is 2.
Yeah, that's 2.
We got 1. Alright.
Yeah, we don't have a mirror and a seal.
Is agricultural pumice a denser material or thicker grade than your dry stall and your all that other?
They're both pumice. Dry stall is just uniformly graded smaller.
Smaller.
For now,
Where's that extra piece of wire? We could throw that
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Pull that out, yeah, we can cut that. Down here. Look at my cheat sheet.
It's,
Long enough? Yep, that's good. The other one, 2, 3, the other one. And 2, 1 and 2. They're almost stacked up. Yep.
Okay. And 2 is going to go on my side. Yeah, go ahead.
Right in the middle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Just off the middle.
trees. The big sigh was, Doug and Jack were telling an anecdote when they did the original planting. They got all the trunks and stuff and all set, and John said, "Oh, everything's got to shift." So they basically had to do just that. They grabbed the pot and Doug just moved everything over. History repeats
We were all
itself.
thinking, because we were all so proud, it looked all done, and they go,
Yep, you can see it.
Are these pads in the same position, the branches the same position as in the original, or?
I don't think so.
Clark,
Might be close, but.
what happened, Clark, is we lost some trees, so
Yeah, it should be going.
like what was number one may not be the number one. Now, all the trees, the branches they had, they're there and they're in place, but because we've lost trunks and we've had to readjust for like a number 2 tree, and that might not be the number 1, everything's gonna be tweaked a little bit.
So we get a soil under that. Sure.
I'll share a John Naka story that he said a couple of times that gives you an idea. This is way back when he lived in LA. He had a beautiful backyard, and it was a hot summer day. He was shirtless, he was sweaty, and somebody rings the doorbell, and it's a neighbor, and she said, "I heard you have these beautiful little trees. Can I see it?" And he's thinking, oh yeah, I'll show her the trees. So he escorts this neighbor who knows nothing about the trees out back, and she's going, ooh ah, and she says, "Well, which is your oldest tree?" So he escorts her to California Juniper, and "How old do you think?" Maybe 100 years. And she said, "Did you grow it from seed?" And he got that reaction right now. He told that one many a time. And it was true.
So the neighbor asked what
I
this
had
tree
this two
colored with
trees.
California juniper.
I'm gonna
And this one's probably 100 years old. The neighbor said, "Did you grow it from seed?"
had it.
From seed.
Good. John.
Should be on the outside.
Planted for me.
Oh, this was the neighbor.
Want to make that 8? Right? I'm thinking 8.
So
Make another one.
I can't remember who was doing this.
I was there.
The name, I was there.
This could be a
Was that when you put the nails in? Yes, yeah. Well, anyway, we put, you know,
Sorry, I'm having a moment.
he started putting in, and he said, "Get me some nails." So
no, it's just
I went out and got nails.
take some soil off.
Another one right in here.
This
Is this roughly positioned?
This is the new 5.
Find it,
Like new 5?
well, those 2 trees stayed in that pot for years and years and years. And finally, Murphy and John Nielsen
There's a good sized stub right here.
after, you know, we got them.
Much room if you need
And
to.
so
Make those better.
they had
This
to
one has a number
try
on it? No.
This one goes.
and I said,
Right in
"Don't
there.
break the
And-
pot."
Like, this one is almost behind this tree, it's right in there. It's supposed to be underneath this.
Pulled the thing out, and it was, and there were all the nails still there. And,
Do we need to ask if that was original?
yes, we are. Yeah.
Did you go behind that?
They got it back, and,
Yeah.
you know, extremely rare to see those from the nails.
Turn it so this is how. turn it for a minute. Is that, can you let go of it?
I'll show you the front.
So far. Definitely gonna have
Yeah.
range, but.
When he assembled them, did he have any formula for the dead wood opposed to the non-dead wood, or did he just put them in, did like 2 or 3 together?
He wanted the, as well as I can recall, you know, he wanted to be able to, he was accentuating the trunks with the dead wood. So he definitely wanted to see the dead wood. But you also want to see the live wood too. You have to see that live vein. Otherwise it looks like a dead tree.
But he didn't have like 3 dead woods over here and then a couple of
No, not that I recall, that was a. Word.
On John's original Goshin that is in Washington DC, he assembled and each of the trees represented one of his grandchildren. But one of his grandkids kept dying, so he had a tree that died. The rest of the grove was doing fine. He plucked it out and put another tree in. And then it died. And this is when when it lived in LA. And he said, okay, the rest of the grove is fine, there's a problem, it's not the tree, it's the spot that it's in. And sometimes, so this big tray, there was no drainage hole nearby, and what happened was water, it must have been like a low spot in the pot, and so water would just kind of collect there, and it was rotting out. And so John, being the guy that he is, he just took a drill, and he drilled a little tiny drainage hole in the pot, put a third version of his grandkids in that spot, and never had a problem.
Okay.
So,
Would there ever be a problem of having too many drainage holes in them?
No.
the more the merrier.
Lift it up.
Yep.
Tuck those under.
To the stuff there. Oh yeah. Magic. What size is that pot?
What size?
Big.
3 feet 1 inch in length.
36 by 24 by 3.5 with 2 inch depth. Not very much.
This gonna come back a little.
Oh, right here.
This one, right?
Maybe a little closer so we can get out.
And then there's outside measurements.
Well, it's an outside measurement.
Bring that,
So you gotta take
up.
off.
bucket over here. This came out this way, right? Jack, this came out this way? This side.
Jack 11. I placed it here and take a look. Okay.
So wait, let's see. What's that? Yeah, I measured from the outside to 36 Yeah, some for just for cutting the dirt.
You got some filter over here. A couple of pads. This one.
How's the 11?
Can you over just a little bit? It's right. It's like right in the middle of that open space.
How's that?
That's good. That's good.
Fits right in there. It's amazing.
Oh, that's why this is down.
Oh, there's a
You gotta tighten that up.
yeah, there's a wood cut.
Should.
Big one.
That's
All right, John, did John smack the guy?
John?
Where's John? Smack
Really? Make it red.
You can't do that
Oh,
nowadays,
Jack, you can do
though.
it, Jack. Snap it.
I didn't notice him struggling, or I would have done that.
We need a bigger root cutter.
Bigger piece of bamboo.
Let that go.
Ted, let Mel do it. You've got a bad shoulder.
No, that's fixed.
Well, keep it that way.
Mine's the
Mel's
one
the
that's
only-
bad.
I'll give him a hand.
There you go.
Get Mel Jr. out here.
You can do it.
really good.
There we go.
Together, because this pad condense the back of that.
Just tighten it up, don't have to take the whole thing off, just tighten it up,
Yeah.
so that they will fit.
You gotta go down below that. Right.
Back this way? Jack?
Can tighten it right up, yep.
Securely first and start filling.
Where'd that picture go?
Right here. Yeah, I like it right now. Oh, here's a picture. He needs glasses. Someone has Jack's glasses in there.
Here, wait, I
If
got,
they're in that pocket, the top pocket.
no, I just discovered this on this high-tech phone.
Now you can have my reading glasses. These are reading glasses. 2027.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, look at that. Look at you.
Well, you take it back further, I got it on the lowest power.
Oh, that's a cool.
Otherwise,
Number
This
five.
one is on the outside.
More
Yeah,
this
this
way?
This one's more in and this one's out.
You gotta take more soil off. That's all. Or you could do that.
you want some soil
You
out
want
of
to be able
here?
to see,
Yeah, we're gonna have to take soil out of here.
Right.
you want to
we'll
see
get into
this
the block.
trunk, right? Where's the hook?
Tucked behind that.
Here you go, Mel.
Thank you.
Okay, now it'll go entire.
Closer.
Would you care for a bottle of water?
Pretty good.
When you look at it from the front, they're almost under space, those three. That's out.
Perfect. I like that one.
Ted, to do a large planting like this, is April 10th too late in the year to be repotting, do you think? If the weather continues.
You know, it kind of depends. This potting with the root system already managed, there's not much threat. But if you're taking things from 5 and 10 gallon cans and you're trying to do this, this time might be too hard for it. So it kind of depends on the condition of your plants too.
This would be, they're really thriving in a pot that's rain, but it's a big, and I want to put it smaller. So the root structure's probably already there.
Straight up.
Yeah, it should be okay.
April 10th is really.
think this will be redisplayed? Ted, when do you think this will be redisplayed out in the
Well,
garden?
you know, truthfully, when we were trying to work all the paths and stuff, my expectations were that it could just about go right out, you know? So yeah, it should look really good when we're done.
And the raffle?
Oops. Bring that one a little straighter.
Jonathan, one of the things we will do, there's a lot of bracing wires, and so once it gets planted, we'll probably end up leaving those just while the tree gets stable. But you know, within a month, we're gonna get some root growth and things will start really settling in. So I could easily see it going out, you know, in about a month maybe.
Hey, Jack.
Okay.
The middle? It's the one. Scoop of soil. Sure it is.
So I know that some of you are, I'm preaching to the choir, you know this, some of you don't, right? So you want to have the planting look random or natural. You don't want them all in a row. Don't want it to look like a row of corn. Spacing, don't have them evenly spaced. Some have to be closer than others. So that's what we're kind of working on now.
Where did you go?
Yeah, a lot better.
Oh yeah. You can't see that open space through there.
With stable on it first?
Is there any rule of thumb that
We'll cut
the
this
back
off.
trees can't touch the pot, or it has to be?
At least we could cut it.
Can it touch the pot, or does it have to be a certain amount of distance from the edge of the pot to the trunk, of like the little tree in back? Is there a rule? No?
Anything that looks artificial, so if a tree is touching the pot, it kind of reminds you that it's in a pot. So if there's space, then the pot becomes a true frame.
So keep it
Hey, rip it.
Natural. Move that hand at all? Get it away from the edge.
Some soil?
So now I'm just looking at it to make sure that we can see all the trunks. We're gonna have to do a little pruning so that we'll be able to see all the apexes, but they're all pretty much there.
Ted, was the bark stripped on all of the trunks, or were they just facing deep shadows and died on their own? So that you just had that.
They were stripped, so like this #1 tree, the live vein is about that big on it. Originally it was probably 2/3 live, so just over time it died back.
So will the branch tell the tree how much live vein it needs to survive? Or will it
The
just
branch,
continue?
the number, yeah, the branch, the number of branches on the tree, you know, they're gonna need
So
more.
it won't continue to die completely?
Yep.
Will it?
No, it won't, it'll, in fact, over time, that'll start to thicken a little bit now. It'll add a little layer every year. I have glasses.
You got mine.
Go ahead.
Put that buckets down.
Wow.
No.
I was thinking about you, Bill.
Mel, come here, Mel. Both Mels.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear your comments. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Just gonna delete that one.
Can see everything, I can see the done.
So this
There's
will
a
be
movement, maybe I
so-
could go, yeah. Yeah, I think so, let me move it.
So, let me, I'll turn it around.
Oh.
And then I'll bring it back
Yeah.
down. So, the trunk positionings are just about there. Now we've got to tie it in and then adjust them so that they're all straight. The one thing is, if you look at this tree, as John would always say, that the smallest tree in the back is the most important tree in the whole arrangement. And that's what kind of stops your eye and gives you the perception, the depth perception of the forest. Right now, if you look at it, it's almost in the middle of these two trees. And we don't want it to be right in the middle, so we're just gonna move it off to one side or the other.
This way, right?
John would tell the story on Goshin 1 that the smallest tree in the back was the first tree he ever did in a bonsai demonstration. 1952 maybe, something like that. And so within the arrangement, you know, they're all represented a grandchild. That was basically his #1 tree, and his grandchild was not very happy being the oldest grandchild, being the smallest tree in the back of the tree. How's that? That's good. All right. Right? So let's. Nail it. Time up.
You get them,
The what?
you get them cinched and we'll tighten it up.
I'm just gonna put a little bit in there.
These guys do a little cross.
Yes, yep, and maybe we'll get a little bit through there.
You're
We'll get it
blind.
on, okay, yep, good. So all those wires you saw sticking out earlier, we're just tying them together, trying to secure the trees into the container. It's very important that they're well wired to the container. If you, in a week, couple weeks, you know, the roots start growing, they start sending out these nice fine cedar roots. Somebody bumps the bench or they, you know, the pot moves. If they're not secured well in the container, they'll wiggle. And that'll kind of damage those fine cedar roots. At best, it will just damage them and it'll slow it down. At worst, it could kill it. So. Then when you start tightening them down, the trunks start moving, so you have to adjust that also.
How would you adjust that after you tighten them down?
Hopefully we can get manhandle them a little bit.
They underneath? Not enough bar? Couple of tie-ins over here. This goes over that one. And we'll bring it to that. There's a wire cutter. Right here.
So the most important thing today is that we get the trunks in the right positions, as close as we can to the original planting, and then it stays alive, right? Not so worried about the foliage, although that, like I said, did such a great job. It looks good already. It's just the way it is with the foliage. So my point is keeping it alive reminded me of something that John would say, and he said it's better to have a live donkey than a dead doctor, right? Which means I would rather have a live so-so tree than a dead kokufu winning tree, a masterpiece, right?
Except if you want to take it to one of silhouettes.
Yeah. But in this case, you know, if it stays alive, it'll be a masterpiece.
Oh, how come this isn't tight? Ted will make sure of that.
Yep, I have no doubt.
Try this one.
This is already a tie
Or
off.
just give it to me for this.
Good share.
Yeah, they can, yeah, we can
We could share.
cross pollinate.
Yeah, that's 30 in there. I'll pack it in good. I'll pack that in good.
Yeah, these guys over here too are nice and solid.
This is solid. I like that. It's a positive problem.
And they don't have to go very far either.
Right.
That's a good thing.
Now, the trees from this angle, at least, seem to lean forward. So, I mean, the number of them. Is there,
I'm sorry, what was that?
how about the forward lean we see on some of these trees?
A little bit of forward lean is good. You want them to be a little bit bowing toward you a little bit. Yep,
Okay. So you're aiming for
a little bit.
Remember, Clark, he also said he's gonna adjust some of that, yeah.
It's a little bit on the inside of that. Adjust it a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take it. I don't think you'll miss it.
Before he gets too much, he's got a lot of wire on it.
See if you can just wiggle it a little bit. That won't take much.
Might be hitting in the branch too, keeping it from
Wait a
coming
minute,
over.
hang on, that's good, that's good.
Sorry.
It's
That's
moving,
better.
coming out,
More?
come. Oh,
Remember, it's
oh, I, that's why.
aha.
Okay.
Yeah, you see it sneak out from behind a little bit.
It's already, just that little bit that you did though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This one?
You won't like it.
Oh,
Just a little bit.
Yeah? You're serious?
Yeah, just a
you're
little bit.
serious.
Wait, that's too much.
Everybody turn your head.
Turn the cameras off.
You're live.
We don't have any more wire over here, huh?
Oh, we have this.
It's not gonna go much more, because they were
Good.
pretty tight.
That can make it. It's like the furniture mover.
Is the tree in DC far different from this
Yeah. Oh, it's
currently?
much more,
Finished.
much more mature. The trunk placement is very similar, but not exactly the same. It's definitely, it would be a brother or a sister, whatever. That one is okay, but those three really.
You have a wire over here for this, no?
No, you can borrow this one. And
Bigger,
you can piggyback onto that one.
but you still gotta try it.
Yeah.
Need space.
Excuse me.
Yep.
You guys know how many trees have been donated to the Washington? From Japan or somewhere? Because Con used to tell us that there was an olive tree that was donated to the Washington, very old.
There's two olives from Mel Ikeda donated to the North American collection. The original donation from Japan is 53 trees. But I don't recall an olive being part of it.
Maybe I'm my mistake. I can't remember now what kind. showed us a picture. Did it have a big wood area? Like a,
Well,
what
I
in a
just-
Tacoma?
I just saw the picture of it when he went back there, fine. He went back there and he showed us a picture. I can't remember, I thought it was an olive tree. He told us it was very, very old. And the Tacoma was a real old, but it had a lot of holes in the trunk, just like a rat. I don't know who kept this picture when he took over.
So when I put soil, we're just trying to eliminate any large air pockets that are in here, make sure that there's good soil contact with all the roots. And what I do is I use the chopstick in my finger and I just wiggle the chopstick. My finger is just kind of a guide. I can feel the soil falling away. Once I feel a little bit of resistance, I stop and move on. I think some people tend to stay in some spots too long, want to make it, and it gets very hard in there. Kind of hard to do that with this coarse soil, but depending on what kind of soil mix you're using.
This has to be the fastest group planning I've ever been.
Yeah.
The fastest.
Pre-work, pre-prep.
Yeah, a lot of pre-prep,
Helps
a lot of
when you're ready to
pre-planning.
Yeah. The fastest.
Well, I think it also helped, the fact that Jack is familiar with this. I could see a bunch of us just
Staring at it.
puzzle solving here, you know, but the fact that you really bring a much more connected memory to this, I think that also is what made it go.
I'm glad you're here, Jack.
I definitely have good memories that I hope to help.
Your fingertips have good memories of it?
So, it's a good point. The Foemina, or Foemina, however you want it, potato, they're not real friendly, those of you that know it, right? So I had two standing rules at the Arboretum. One was when you're working at Goshin and you got poked, you had to say, "Thank you, Goshin." That was the rule.
It got lots of thanks then, huh?
It did. Mumbling under the breath. The other house rule is if you dropped a tool, you had to buy coffee for everybody in the house. No dropping tools.
Jack, did John mention why he made 3 as opposed to 2 or as opposed to 4?
No, I don't remember him saying why 3.
A lot of, just public demand.
Well, and I will say this, because when he made Goshin 2, and it was for, I think it was a CBS convention.
Yeah, here.
And I stuffed the can with tickets. It's the most I've ever spent for tickets. And I had said at the time, I want to win this for the Huntington. And John knew it. John knew that he knew what I put in to that. And I was a loser as usual. And it was when, you know, and it was like, oh man, I lost again. And John said, I will make one for the Huntington, because he knew how much I wanted to bring it here. So yeah, well, it was John that did it, but the other Goshin 2 is at the GSBF Collection North in Oakland.
I think there's a little flex.
So yeah, so basically all 3 Goshin, once this gets on display, all 3 are you know, on view for the public, which is really nice.
Maybe that we have to guy them together with some light wire just for a while.
How often do they repot the one in Washington?
Has it been repotted?
It's been repotted, maybe, you know, it depends. The situation, 4 years, maybe 5 years, a lot of it has to do. You know, when I first started working there, there was this mindset, oh, well, we have to do these trees every 2 years, you know, by the calendar. And then I realized with studying in Japan and that it depends on the tree. The tree tells you when it needs repotting. You don't have to follow a formula, right? If the tree's healthy, it's growing well, and it's taking water well, you don't have to repot it. Especially some of the conifers, they can go a long, long time. So it just I know I'm kind of vague, but it just depends on the situation.
It would be nice to have photos of all three together so people could compare them, you know, like.
You volunteering to go to Washington, go to California to get the photos?
We'll be done in about 3 minutes.
Yeah, I'll go.
Clark, if you go to the Huntington Verso blog right now, there's an article on this, and so you'll see a beautiful picture of Goshin from the National Arboretum, and you also see a picture of Goshin 3 when it was accessioned here. So you'll be able to compare those two very, very well in that article. So it's on the Huntington blog, Verso. The article's Guardians of the Spirit.
Have a special place for these?
I was looking at this one. Look at it. Beautiful tree.
Just stick it in some sand. Yep.
We have a request. This is dead.
Yeah.
Okay, Mel.
I got that guy to cut it for me.
Say thank you, Goshin. That one was, this one's nice too.
Ow.
Ow.
Say thank
Yeah.
you.
There you go. It's like, ow. Oh, that one there is real good. What are you doing over here? Take a look at the Goshin, man.
I don't know if you know, but this is a piece of history.
Yeah, it's to show him.
History. Piece of Goshin 3.
They did some root tub in the greenhouse.
That's it. Going to the greenhouse tonight.
Really, really fine. That's the finest stuff we have.
Nope, there's 22 here.
You put rooting hormone, throw it in some sand, ready to go. Go in the greenhouse. A couple weeks later, you'll be rewarded with either life or death.
Don't even need rooting hormone.
It hurts you. Most people don't. You gotta wear gloves usually.
I have a collection of succulents and cacti at home,
So you know how to be aware.
Oh, yeah. I have tweezers at home.
Like it from afar.
Fine copper.
I don't know.
Build some soil in there?
Okay.
Which one was the lead one? This one, right? This one.
It doesn't warn you.
It's fine, I can continue the stream, but I can't upload it.
Street?
Yeah, we'll pull that one up. I don't want to throw this all over.
You can just put there.
Spaces. The trees are spaced just so, and so the whole is, they're kind of, and the garden home is spaced over so many inches. So sometimes they don't, really exactly where you want it to. Anyway, you got a hole, and then you go in. I think.
More? That's good. Cheryl says she never wins anything. I've seen her with a wheelbarrow of things that she's won at a raffle.
Truth comes out.
Yeah.
You're gonna raffle this one off?
That's what I need. I like the way it.
I think Goshin too probably had more raffle tickets in it than any other tree ever in history. I mean, there was a bunch of people that
Stuff that, yeah, that was,
We were determined to keep it here.
we tried so hard.
And then the winner gets to have their
Name.
one name, one
So the
name.
person who won it actually was from North.
From up north and so it went like that.
Can you do it all with the buttons?
Yeah, but John felt really terrible for me, because he knew how much money
You
I
should
put
have put more in there.
Ask him.
How did I look from the side, Mel?
Yeah.
Did you lean forward or the whole thing?
That was a lot of money.
Main trees, there's still a few back ones that seem to be
Go
leaning.
back a little bit, so we could, maybe work some soil in there.
Paper towel, wrap it up. Someone come and take you. Are we supposed to take that?
Number one shows good.
food where you can go to that.
Burgers. In-N-Out burger. Cheese burgers?
Thank you.
Whataburger, they changed.
Whataburger?
Ted, what kind of fertilizer are you gonna
We use Dr. Earth Life here, and we use it in tea bags, so we don't clog up our soil.
555?
I think so, yes.
555.
Awesome stuff. Green bag.
I'll be able to see that.
11. The grandchild.
Yeah, the oldest grandchild. We want to make sure we can see that.
Right.
Ted, when will you give this its first fertilizer of the season?
We'll wait at least a month.
A month?
And what's the rationale for waiting a month?
You don't want to burn roots while they're forming. Although 555 probably wouldn't do too much there, but.
Pretty slow.
Yeah, if you ever have a problem figuring out when you're done. Because it's kind of like, you know, a watercolor, you, 1 or 2 strokes too many. And,
Yeah, right.
you know.
You gotta call it good, which is getting very close. The rest of the work is gonna be Ted's. Let's,
Lost time.
where's your, oil? Good.
I heard that. Yeah.
We got packets.
What we want to do is really brush off a little excess oil, and then we do a muck butter.
Muck butter or oil castings? You can get rid of them. Here. Oh, that feels good. Hit me.
Grow, now grow.
I know, right? I'm gonna grow.
He grows the wrong way.
Too much taper.
Oh.
Reverse taper.
Reverse taper.
Oh my goodness. Like a gourd?
Yeah.
That's it, Elvis Gourd. No gourd.
Definitely pick up the earth casting techniques prior to putting the moss.
Edge on it?
Ted, explain why the earth castings work really well with the moss.
If you think of moss growing, like on a sidewalk, they just grow in, microns thick organic material. So what happens is, if in your moss, the brown that you see under here is the root, and so if you mix up like a muck, like margarine, what you can do is you can just butter the bottom of this, and what happens is this muck, it acts like glue, and so on that very coarse soil, when you press this in, this will stick. The other thing is the moss will actually grow into this little layer of muck, and so it'll stay alive, and your soil underneath won't change at all, because the roots will just go into this very thin layer. So once that's on there, we can start placing, and when we press it in, again, it'll really stick well.
How do you make it?
Well, that's just worm castings thinned with water. My own mix at times has been, you know, adobe clay and peat, shredded fine.
It's like kind of like brownie frosting. That's what it reminds me of. I wouldn't eat. Yeah. You don't want your kids eating them. It looks like you can.
You're gonna have
Well, you know, at a certain age,
turn
you
it
put
this
everything
way
in their
so it
mouth.
can towards me.
Yeah.
And then you guys.
They learn the hard way. We learned the hard way.
That's in there. We chopstick that one.
What if you?
That was by design.
Orange County Farm Supply.
Have some butter.
You know, it's like a Goshin wires. So if you want to do those wires.
It's not feeling it that bad.
It's Orange County. No. The short is Orange County Farm Supply. Carries big bags. Orange. Sure.
So this is worm.
It's in City of Orange, yeah. Just
Go ahead.
Just
Well, but
Google Orange County Farm Supply.
no, you still can't.
Go around that one.
Yeah, the rest of us still see the tip.
So I don't have to work on just bring this down a little bit, you know?
Slow down, yeah. And maybe if this comes out, you could just bring this. Oh, no, that's the
Orange County Farm Supply.
Exactly, that's where you get it. Rooting hormone? They're looking for it?
Yeah.
A pipe wrench.
Yeah. You want to do it during the replanting?
I did it once.
Let's do it. You got the pipe wrench.
How long will you keep that moss on there?
Forever.
Forever and ever.
It doesn't steal the nutrients?
Pardon?
It won't steal away any of the nutrients from the soil?
Yeah, good for you. You should have.
Yes.
There's another flat over there, 2 flats.
Get your muck all the way to the edges. All those little corners now, they'll curl up if you don't.
Thank you. He's generous with the butter.
How much you putting on there?
Just like butter.
Just like
Again,
butter.
just like if
I
you're
love-
butter and toast.
I like a lot of butter. I do too. Butter and toast.
Worm testing. It's worm testing.
It's worm poop.
Worm testing.
It's a nice way of saying worm poop. Just don't use human casting. I wonder what would happen if you use human casting. Talking from experience. Yeah. It's great for moss.
Kellogg's made a fortune.
Yeah.
So using Dr. Bertha, I think that's another one of Hack's companies.
So we need to get you
Mel, get good at this so you can come over next weekend and do mine.
Do they work?
Yeah.
That one, that's cool.
He also bought
Get some worms together.
Orcon, which makes, you know, the breed
That should help them
artificial
know
insects.
give them this what it's like.
Who?
Kellogg's.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you buy nematodes from
White pine, spruce.
No.
Where do you get your nematodes from?
You'd have to ask Dan Barry, who works here at Huntington for.
Used to get from Arbico.
Arbico. But then which one do you
The
know?
ones that would catch the flies.
Ah,
Lay their eggs, the little wasps.
Yeah,
In
right.
Garcia or something. I can't remember which one.
you still do that? Or?
No, we had livestock at the,
Oh, I
it was
see.
a public site.
Ted, any suggestions for cultivating moss for those of us that are humidity challenged?
You live in the
Collect it in the brightest, sunniest spot you can. And once you get some, like if you use this butter, you'll propagate your moss on your own bonsai. And so what I do every year when I have a show, if I'm looking for moss, I just go and take patches off my other trees, and within a few months they're all covered up again. So pretty soon you'll get a good spread.
Find a building with sprinklers on the north side.
There you go. Bingo. And that's where I got my original stuff. Just on the farthest edge where the sun would creep and hit it, that's some pretty tough stuff.
You can get different varieties. Get a spatula.
When I walk my dog, I seriously, I'm gonna walk the dog.
You use the tea bag.
About a month. Sometimes we'll leave them on up to 2 months. What we'll do is that in a month we'll just go put new ones on, but we don't take them off until they get pretty funky.
Okay. But even though it decomposes, doesn't it plug up your soil?
The
Fertilizer.
No, because it's in tea bags.
And tea bags don't decompose.
In fact, well, I mean, I took tea bags off of all the teas today, and you saw they were all intact.
Yeah. See, I have a fertilizer I've used, and it really worked, except fines in it. Would plug the soil.
I'd like to go to Daiso for the tea bags. Almost $1, like 100 of them.
California, that's one of the places.
You have to go Daiso. So you guys gonna go to Daiso this trip? Oh, you already went. You stopped yourself. You know you can buy it online.
Yeah, I know, but it's not the same.
They're the wet friend, Michigan.
Yeah.
Mel, did you fill this?
Is that because of the state or the family? That's probably what I meant to, yeah.
Is there a lot of bonsai clubs in Michigan?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
What's the big show in that area? The Midwest?
The Michigan show.
Yeah, all Michigan. Yeah, you,
Yeah.
you worked that one.
Yep. Yeah, it was kind of fun. After I did that, one of the times they had the Association of Professional Gardeners, American Professional Gardeners Association. Well, the two directors from there came, and so it was like, you know, old home week in a way.
All right.
That was really fun to be able to take them around.
Did you guys try growing the moss from the spores that they sell?
Yeah, I think just about everybody is at one time.
One time.
One time.
That's it. And then you're done.
First time.
The spore packet.
Did it once.
No.
Kyoto moss.
Kyoto moss.
Everybody's got a packet of that. They still have it 15 years later.
That's right.
In the same drawer they originally put it in.
And they always sell it by the register. Notice that? It's always right there where you can see it.
And everybody has to buy at least one.
The impulse buy. Oh, a bag of magic moss spores.
Then you wouldn't normally put
A lot of times on
Great moss and flats, which
That's right, it's only not even two.
That's right.
This is the
No, it's 2:30.
It's only 1:30.
No, it's 2:30. Yeah, I don't think the time.
The angle of the dangle. The angle of the dangle.
It didn't spring ahead.
Oh my God. We're on Pacific time here.
Was this moss bought or was it grown from somewhere else?
No, we just collected it off of our own trees and off, places. And that flat I just dug off the ground the other day. Up there.
Oh.
We have a parking area. That
I used to get mine from the dentist's office.
Oh, really? Why those?
Well, it just depends, sunny area, if the moss is growing in a sunny area, that's the ones you want because it stays short.
Yeah.
Carl's Jr., different places, car washes.
It grows pretty fast.
Lawyer's office.
Yeah.
I can tell you different places where I collect the mosses.
Is it usually full sun? Do they grow on-
You want full sun one, yeah, but it's shorter. But you get what you can get.
some of this really thick stuff.
Yeah, I'm
you have
gonna
to-
brush it off
Or
cut it.
cut it.
Shave it. I remember doing that this morning.
Yeah, you were in good practice today, Mel.
That's why I'm watching.
Yeah, I wonder where you went. The moss came out and I didn't see it. It's like my wife, if I want to get rid of her,
So what?
I just get the paint can out.
Oh, I hate paint. Preparation work kills me. I don't like the paint.
Poor kid. They were worn down by the time we got them.
One year, that must have been the last year we had a convention, huh?
What's that?
This,
No, we've had them since.
that one?
Oh, since
That had to be the last one.
I was thinking since Goshin.
Yeah.
Different subject.
Can I use the what? Putting this worm casting on here first.
Isn't that awesome? It's a great idea.
That worm casting makes it, trees turn a different color green.
Oh, really?
Real nice color.
Like fertilizer.
Yeah,
It
it's
is.
better than fertilizer.
We also use humic acid out here every once in a while, and that makes our things really green too.
So how do you apply humic acid?
It's just a drench, and it's highly concentrated. It's usually like a couple of teaspoons per 5 gallons, quite often.
Where can I get it?
Online.
What is that?
Most Western nurseries will have some form of
Humic acid?
humic acid, but if you go east, a lot of the nurseries there don't even know what you're talking about.
That's for my orange tree.
There's a company called Tri-C that sells it. They're in Chino.
Okay.
It's actually, it's a mineral called leonardite, and it's mined here in California.
Mel, I found it on Amazon. You have it? As a powder, you just mix it in your water. Okay. You need more work.
Yep, I'm starting to, if there's a clay layer on the bottom, I'm starting to just use it. Yeah, there were a lot of pieces that were just on the end.
Where is he?
Jason, wherever you are.
He's in the wrong spot.
Thanks, Jonathan. To the rescue. Save the stream.
I wanna pick up that piece off the floor. Not real.
We had a little bit of an earthquake here. Sorry about that, Bonsai World.
Good to have a glove on it. It bounces better with a glove.
Yes, it was.
So there's no problem, Ted, with covering it with moss and leaving it Not necessary.
You know, we're gonna dress it fully, cause it's gonna go up on the stand on the show, so we want it to look, you know, pretty good then.
Why? Yes. Yeah. Before putting it on the moss, the butter. Nice. Tastes good. You got the orange stuff?
I just sprayed on the
Mel.
Oh, Mel?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
2 of them.
How do you get the muck? Where do you get that at?
Oh, yeah, that is Ted, you're right.
It's just worm castings. That's what we're using, and then I thin it with water, and I knead it because it's a little granular, but if you knead it, it gets just like smooth and creamy like butter. And so again, a little on, and your moss, even in full sun, your moss will look good.
So you get it at a fishing store? Or
Pardon?
you get it at a fishing store?
No, at a garden shop.
Oh, they
Yeah, that's a great question.
If you wanna make your own, you go to the fishing shop.
Fill up your dirt with
Go buy some bait.
some bait. Hey, we gotta go fishing.
I'm ready.
I got my license.
Where you go?
Wherever you take me.
Wow.
Wherever, whoever has a boat wants me to go. Keep those doors.
I have a neighbor that lives in the track, and he does maintenance on different shopping centers, like the one on the 405 and the 5 freeway.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a house in Arrowhead, it caught a 4-pound trout.
Number 1 tree, I believe it.
Rainbow?
Yeah.
That's mainly
Thanks.
not a lot. Fun one. Hopefully it'll
Well, the
take off.
original one, I remember, what was her name? Judy?
Oh, yeah.
She had a row of them.
That's her stuff.
Yeah.
It's her stuff.
And,
Number 2 with me with her stuff.
What do you do?
yeah.
One's over. However, because we're a public garden, I'm the only one that can do it, and I have to wear full hazmat and everything. Yeah.
He knows.
Yeah, I wrote
gotta have a license.
the procedure. I went to the state and then to the county.
What are you applying?
You gotta have a
Lime sulfur.
license to apply lime sulfur.
No, it's, but I'm the only
protocol.
qualified.
It's your protocol.
You know,
Now I feel like confident now.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm doing something illegal now when I'm at home putting lime sulfur. Like, Ted should be here.
well, part of it is being a public garden.
Right,
There's a lot of things that.
A lot of
we have to deal
regulations,
with.
yeah.
Yep, that a home garden is.
Guess we're home gardeners.
see the water.
In the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years.
So what do you do?
Yeah, right. And so the water basin absorbs. I was always worried about those, that butter.
How does it?
What we used it on is to store a fence. We didn't want it.
So when you push the button, it says, okay, I'm gonna maintain that shot.
So we used that on it.
I was always worried about that wood
How
preservative.
fast can you move around?
Creating
Yeah.
a thin shield and then wrap
your
it
own?
inside.
That does happen.
They took out the, all that wood, stick a fork in it.
There's no way to keep water.
Slow it down.
It's not even a one pointer. It's not even a one pointer.
You guys are paying too much attention.
Oh, yeah.
You made it 2 pointers.
Hold on.
Fix it.
Now you're gonna sink.
Go for the rebound. There you go. They don't call me LeBron for nothing.
Mel, I'm in the way.
What's up, Keith?
You're late today.
I know.
That's great. How are you?
Wow.
Always better now.
Wow.
Gorgeous.
Really?
Wow.
Sean, what time did you get here to get this seat?
Early.
What, like 12?
Somebody here had to take
Mel, you keep getting
my shot.
Somebody move the water bottle, the sprayer. Thank you.
Then the pot, yeah.
Perfect, perfect.
No. Hold on. We can measure
It's a
this.
yellow tree.
We can measure this with wire.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be huge amount of people. Nice. Yeah, it's huge. And you'll be there at 8? You'll be there at 8, Keith?
I'll be there earlier than
The
that.
question was,
Because what happens is that people.
all right, here's the drum roll. Ready?
Drum roll, please. I can't do a drum roll.
It's longer than the pot, folks. So Jack asked me if number 1 is longer than the pot. We did a scientific method using bonsai wire. And here is, oh, look at that. It's extending.
You want to get a measure now?
I didn't want to have to take it out.
Oh, please.
Take it out.
Can you imagine?
A solo journey.
We could have, we would have glued another piece of wood just to make it long enough. You'll plant it deeper. Mound it.
Yep, there's a whole section back there.
We're getting close to the end. And I just wanted to reiterate, while I have the chance, of how grateful I am to have been part of the whole Goshin series. Certainly is a highlight of my life, right up there with the birth of my son and marrying this wonderful woman here. And I'm grateful for being part of the National Arboretum. If I hadn't been there, I would not have had this chance. And a big thank you again to Ted for inviting me. And
Again, Jack, you were the perfect person to do this, so we're real lucky.
That was the perfect
I
one.
truly am grateful. Thank you.
Picture.
I've avoided turning,
Once we
so
turn it.
you can give the reveal.
You want to do the honors? Who wants to see the front?
Yeah.
All right, ready?
Take pictures.
Yeah, well, let me see.
I want to see him stand right there by.
All right, hold
Let me get
through.
you
Come on,
first.
through.
Let me get you
Right,
first.
Jack.
No, let me.
Hey, go.
Let me get him first.
Get him first.
Oh, you gotta get away.
Oh, we have a director here.
There we go now.
Yeah, we're in Hollywood.
There we go. Now here. And now everybody.
Let's go. Good stuff.
Together, you know.
Come on.
Dad, get in there.
Can't stand behind the tree, we can't see you.
We can't see it, Dad.
All right.
Who do we look at?
Look this way. 1, 2, 3.
Is that a forest gnome?
Yeah. Oh, you ruined that picture.
Wasn't me.
That was the Sergio Perez that said that.
I deny it completely.
I did not.